Hey everyone, before we begin, you are going to grab a piece of paper and you're going to set it up just like you see here. You're also going to grab a palette with these colors. So you're going to grab the primary colors, yellow, red, and blue. And you're also going to grab some pink. The reason why we grab pink is because sometimes, depending on the pigment of the paint, when you mix the red and the blue together, you get kind of like a very like dark, muddy purple instead of a violet. So we'll just change it and we'll mix the pink with the blue when we're creating our violet. Okay, now you're also going to grab your neutral colors. So you're going to grab white and black as well so that we can create our tints and shades when we get closer to the bottom. Okay, you're also going to grab a water cup that's half full with a paintbrush. It doesn't matter what size right now. And you're going to keep that in the water. The really important thing when painting with acrylic paints is that the acrylic can actually dry the brush, the bristles out. So we always want to keep our brush in the water cup so that we're not drying out our brush. This also is really important when we're cleaning our paint out. We want to make sure that we're cleaning all of the paint out of our brushes so that when we leave for the day and our brushes are drying out, they are not drying with paint on them and then getting ruined. And I will be checking this. You also want to grab a paper towel. All right, now to begin, we're going to start by filling in the primary colors on our color wheel. So I'm going to tap my brush onto my cup to get rid of the water. I'm going to then dip into red. Please notice that I'm dipping, not scooping. A little bit of paint goes a really long way here. We really don't need to scoop and, pile the paint on. So just a dip, a little bit at a time. And then I'm going to just come in and paint the inside of my red circle. All right, now to switch colors, I want to rinse my brush off because I do not want to mix these colors, at least not right now. So I'm going to take my brush, put it into the water cup. I'm going to do a circle and tap. So I'm circling at the bottom of my cup and then I'm tapping the top of it to get all the paint and water off. Then I'll dab. So it's circle, tap, and touch. Okay, and then I'm going to dip into my next color. Okay, and then same thing for blue. All right, now all the primary colors make the other colors on the color wheel, but how do we do that? Well, red and blue make purple, blue and yellow make green, and yellow and red make orange. And those become your secondary colors. So purple, orange, and green will end up becoming your secondary colors. So these are like your primary first set of colors. Then when you mix those two, you get the orange, purple, and the green. And then if you add more red to the orange, you get the orange red. If you add more yellow to the orange, you get yellow orange. So that's how the color wheel is set up, and that's how we're going to start making our color wheel. So I'm just going to go clockwise. So I'm going to mix my red and blue to get the purple. Now I told you earlier that the red and the blue sometimes make a really deep dark like plum purple color. Well, we want really more of like a violet. So I am going to switch it up here on you just a little bit, and I'm actually going to mix pink and blue together. I will also mix the blue and red together just so you can see the difference of what I'm talking about. So when mixing colors, this is when I'm going to scoop, and I'm going to grab equal portions of each. So I'm going to scoop red, and then I'm going to scoop blue, and I'm going to place them on top of each other. And then I'm just going to do a small little circle. Okay, I'm not going to paint the entire thing because I do need the rest of this palette for other colors. So I don't know if you can see, but it's very dark. It almost looks black. It's really not the shade of purple that we want. You can try to add a little bit more red, and you'll start to see that. All right, now when we do the pink, this is where we get our violet. And again, this is just because of the pigment of the paints. Sometimes you'll find different paints like at a store that you buy when you mix colors. They just kind of might be slightly off. And that just happens because of the way that they're mixed. All right, I'm gonna grab a little bit more pink so I can make this a little bit more violet. And now you can really start to see that this is definitely more purple, more of that violet. So then I can take that and I'm gonna add it into my purple area here. Okay. And now we're gonna make green. So rinse your brush off, do a tap and touch. And for green, how do we know what colors to mix? Well, we look at the two primaries beside it. So we have a yellow and a blue. So we're going to mix equal parts of yellow and blue together. Now you have your green. Right, and then do the same thing for orange. You're gonna mix yellow and red together. Okay, now we have our primary and our secondary colors completed. Now we need to make our red purple, our blue purple, our green blue, our yellow green, our yellow orange, and our orange red. So how we do that is we are going to basically we're going to use this color here that we created, but we're going to add more red to the color because it's red purple. So we want it more on a red side of purple. So I'm going to take a little bit of my red and I'm going to dip it into the purple that I made. And I am just going to mix, and you'll start to see it kind of becomes like this pretty plum purple. So that is our red purple. Okay. Then to get our blue purple, we're going to add more blue to that purple. Okay. Now also notice how I didn't mix the entire red into that violet color that I made, because I know that I'm still going to need this color. So I left some of that there so that now I can come in and take my blue to this as well, and I can maybe like mix in this little corner here, and now I still have violet, red violet, and blue violet. Okay. Now for green blue, same thing. I'm gonna add more green to the blue. Or I'm sorry. Now for the green blue, I'm actually gonna add more blue to the green. So I've got my green here. I'm gonna take some blue and I'm gonna add a little bit to the corner again. I don't wanna mix in my entire green because I'm going to be using that again. So then you'll start to notice we get this beautiful like dark teal color, kind of like a seaweed color. Right. And then for yellow green, we're going to add more yellow to green to get like a lime green. Don't want that. Okay, and then you'll do the same thing for the oranges. Alright, so our color wheel is almost completely filled out. We just need the center. So what we're going to do here is you're actually going to mix all three of your primary colors to get the center color. Sometimes it'll make like a dark black or a really muddy brown. So just pick up equal parts of blue, red, and yellow. And then go ahead and mix all those together, see what you get. And then put that in the middle. All right, now a tint is a color plus white. So you can pick any color off of this color wheel and mix white with it to create a tint. So I'm gonna take this, the red violet. I'm gonna take some white, add it to my red violet, and now I have a tint. Also notice when I'm painting how I'm holding my brush. I'm kind of holding it in the middle. I've got loose pressure and I'm not pressing too hard with my paintbrush. I've got kind of light pressure as I'm painting. And notice I'm kind of leaning the brushes or the bristles to the side and I'm not kind of jabbing them down kind of like this, where the brushes kind of fray everywhere. We don't really want to do that. We want to keep our brushes nice and smooth, so we definitely always want to use it and kind of paint off to the side. All right, now to create a shade, you're actually going to take a color plus black. Sometimes you can use like a brown for this too if you want. That works just as well. So I'm going to take, I think I'm going to take this green, add some black to it, the yellow green. Okay, that green got really black on me very quickly, and I wanted to really just show a darker shade of green, not a black. So I'm gonna do this again, and sometimes that'll happen, and that happens because you've added too much black, and because that color is so much darker, so much stronger, it kind of will overpower these colors very quickly. So you want to add a little bit of black at a time. So that was kind of my mistake. I added too much black. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna make like a green again, and then I'm gonna add a teeny tiny bit of black to that. So I'm gonna pick up some blue, or I'm sorry, some yellow, a little bit of blue here. Now I have my limey kind of green color, and I'm gonna now take just like the corner of my brush and get a teeny tiny bit here. Now that is much better. Now you can kind of see that this is actually a darker shade of green. So here we go. All right, now a monochromatic is a one color that ranges from light to dark. Okay, so we're gonna practice doing that and kind of doing a transition from a light to dark using only one color. So I want you to pick whatever color you want, and you're going to start with just white, then we're gonna move to tints, then the color, and then the shade. So we're gonna move from white to color to shade. Okay, so I'm gonna just pick up my white and I'm going to just start to brush vertically. Now I want to get to my color, so I'm gonna choose blue, and I'm just gonna choose just a little bit of blue. And I'm going to come in like halfway. I'm going to kind of overlap the white and the blue together a little bit. Now what I'm doing is I'm kind of mixing the colors on the paper. You can always pre-mix on your palette first if you would like to. This is also called wet on wet painting, which means we are painting while our paint is wet, so that as we're painting, the colors are blending together. So now I want to start getting darker. So I'm going to pick up again a teeny tiny bit of black, and since black is a pretty strong color, I'm actually going to start over here and kind of bring it into the blue so that I don't get too dark too quick. And then again, I'm just going to meet them. I'm going to brush them over top of one another to get them to blend together and paint on the paper, or blend together on the paper while they are wet. So now I have a range from light to dark using one color that has its tints and shades. Now for this bottom part, we're gonna do the same thing, but I wanna blend two different colors together. So I'm actually gonna I'm just gonna pick some primary colors. I'm gonna do a yellow and a red. Okay, so I'm going to pick up yellow. I'm going to start on one side, and we're essentially going to do the same thing. I'm just going to keep painting until I get about halfway. Okay, and then I'm actually going to pick up some red, and I'm not going to rinse my brush off because I want them to blend together anyway. So I'm going to start at the other end and then just continue to brush until they start to overlap. Now see here, I'm getting kind of like this texture here. That's just because the yellow has already dried. Acrylic paint dries really, really quickly. Now, if we want it to be more of a soft transition like we have here, then I just need to add more yellow to get the paint to stay wet while I'm painting. But if you like this, that's fine too. I mean, this totally counts, and it can be really pretty on certain things, especially if you're trying to create that texture. So see, once I add the yellow over top, now I'm starting to get that softer transition, and I'm getting some orange, because now we know yellow and red will make orange. All right, and that's it. So please wait for cleanup instructions. Thank you.